Do you have kind of like a list of all the different data sources you use? Can you just run through that briefly at all?
Okay, so I would say the data sources I rely on the most, so like the weekly ones that I check in pretty regularly, are Google Analytics with the website. And then I use a WordPress plugin for my website called Redirection, and I check in with Redirection pretty regularly. I would call that probably the most vital tool I have that I have applied myself. I look at my newsletter on a weekly basis, how many subs and unsubs, and I have a onboarding survey. So I take a look at my survey answers every week as well. Like I said, the Google Analytics, specifically with Google, I'm looking at top pages. I do a blog, so knowing which blogs are popular is useful to me, especially if it's an old one that suddenly becomes popular. Was somebody talking about it? Is the end matter for that blog post directing people to my newsletter or to the latest book or whatever I want to direct them to? It also tells me what my search algorithms are like, for vanity alerts and things like that. It also tells me which of my outposts are the most effective. If you're looking at your Google Analytics, it will give you basically a list of where all the traffic is coming to your blog. And I'm always very pleased to see Pinterest right up there, even though I'm not really active there. It means people are pinning my blog posts and coming to my website from Pinterest. And then I look at the top 3 IG posts. That's because I repurpose content a lot. So a really popular Instagram post is probably going to end up in my newsletter because my fan base has already told me they like that image. So I might as well reuse it. Tumblr and Wiki are kind of weird things that only I use, but I just keep an eye on them anyway. And then I also utilize reader surveys like I talked about. I would say I do those monthly. And sometimes they're information I'm really very interested about my reader base as the primary demographic I have direct access to. And so I will ask them things like, there was a recent big debate over the nature of hardbacks because Barnes and Noble is phasing out hardbacks for debut authors. And there's a lot of discussion to be had around this. But I was genuinely curious how my reader base felt about hardbacks. It's like everybody was talking about it from the back end, from the traditional publishing side of the equation. No one had really just gone to the readers and been like, how do you interface with hardbacks now, as opposed to how you used to? And most of them said something which I resonate with myself and have noticed as an author, but also have kind of seen trending over the years, which is they collect art hardbacks as kind of a luxury scarcity thing now. They aren't likely to buy a newer author in hardcover. So I'm like, that's a trend that I recognized, but now I put it out to 40,000 fan group and got some actual, 5,000 people responded. And I was like, well, that's pretty decent data from a core group of readers to say, yeah, a lot of people are kind of moving off of hardcover. And some of that's age of my reader base who they're like, yeah, it's physically hard to hold them up. And with the onset of e-readers, I can enlarge the font. So you can have a real quality as well as quantity discussion. So quantitative analysis versus qualitative analysis, if you're running a survey. So, and sometimes those surveys are just silly little polls, like which pasta shape do you like more?